Okay, John, you can go.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Overberg Geoscientist presentation. And thanks to all our participants, those locally in Onrus or Hermanus, those from abroad, and we have people online from the US and the UK. And most of all to our speaker today, Gregory Katz. So Gregory, for interest, is a third generation diamond specialist and a graduate gemologist. He grew up in a family business, and like most young people in the diamond trade, he started working in the family business, a jewelry business, as a schoolboy. And that's something very traditional in the business, and we see it in India where young kids who end up in the business also start learning the trade while they're still at school. Anyway, Greg has now had over 40 years in this amazing business, and he specializes in cutting exceptional large stones. And he's going to talk to us about those stones and the work that he does in his very smart factory in Rosebank, Johannesburg. So here we have a wonderful situation where we are cutting and polishing the exceptional diamonds that we recover from the Vaal and Orange River alluvial deposits, secondary deposits. These are the large kimberlites, the large diamonds eroded and weathered out of our kimberlite pipes, Kimberley, Lesotho. We have this amazing spread of kimberlite pipes all around Southern Africa. Many of them are diamondiferous, and some have been mined. Some of them haven't been mined, but still have a smattering of diamonds. And over more than 90 million years, weathering down of those pipes is released. The diamonds then get moved in our massive conveyor belts, incredible conveyor belts, either the Vaal into the Orange River and off to the west coast. In that process, and Greg might just talk a bit about this, that there's tremendous attritioning, and all the poor quality diamonds, typically small stones, cracked stones, broken stones, get weathered away, and you're left with these exceptional stones. And that's what Greg is going to talk to us about today. So over to you, Greg, and thanks for making yourself available to talk to us.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. And thank you to John for hosting this. And so I'll talk firstly a little bit about myself. Like John said, I grew up in the industry. My father, my grandfather were jewelers in South Africa. Entered the business when I was schoolboy. Basically, went to university to study law, dropped out, went to the US to study gemology at the GIA for a year, came back, joined the family business. We sold the business to a diamond miner by the name of Hugo Richter. He was mining on the West Coast. We stayed on with him. I think he was a geologist from De Beers, actually, John. I'm not quite sure. We stayed on with him 3 years in the business. The business was called Katz and Lurie. We stayed on with them, and then we left, and we started dealing in polished diamonds. In 1982, I got a rough dealer's license, started going out to Wolmaranstad, Berkeley West, Kimberley, learning a little bit, cutting my teeth, sharpening my teeth in the field, as they say. So in the 1995, I started manufacturing a little bit. In the 2000s, got a cutting license, and I started working with Harry Winston, various people, but the jeweler Harry Winston, who was mining in Kimberley and on the coast, they had some interest in, I think it was called ODC, the Ocean Diamond Mining. Worked with them for a few years, then worked with Scarselli Diamonds in New York, a specialist in pink, blue, green, yellow diamonds. And from around 2018, I worked with the luxury jeweler, Lebanese jeweler in they have retail stores through the Middle East, Hong Kong, and London now. And we purchase exceptional stones here. We manufacture in-house. We cut it here. It's mined in South Africa, cut in South Africa. Yeah, so let me get straight onto it. I do a bit of macro photography, which is and videography, which is quite interesting. I started about 2 years ago, and yeah, let me get into the presentation. So we'll discuss 3 stones that we cut in the last 2 years. I'll just 3 exceptional stones. The first one, 141 carat vivid yellow from Saxon Drift. We purchased a stone on a tender in where was it? In Kimberley, actually, yeah, in Kimberley. And then we'll discuss a 95 carat from Rooipoort, which was the De Beers game farm, which Johan Rupert and Chris Potgieter had, and recently been taken over by an Indian company, Star Gems. And then 1 carat 45 vivid blue rough from Alex Core from the West Coast that we didn't buy it, we manufactured it for a client. So let's get straight into it. Okay. So that's a photograph of a Kenyan model with 141 carat crystal. It's a large stone for the region. I think in the last 10 years, the largest yellow clean octahedral I've seen was a 258 carat. I can't recall who found that one, and I believe it also turned out vivid. So there's a little history on yellow diamonds. Up until the 1870s, there weren't a lot of yellow diamonds around, I would imagine. I think the Indian material was mainly type 2A whites, browns, pinks, maybe a couple of yellows. After the discoveries in South Africa in the 1870s, a lot of yellow diamonds obviously came onto the market. And, in those years, even up to the 1970s, these yellow diamonds were just capes. They were very cheap. I can recall in the 70s, my father used to keep 10 carat capes where they all cut into rounds at that period. Now we cut them into fancy shapes to intensify the colors. But they were a couple of hundred rand a carat, maybe 200-300 rand a carat. I mean, the exchange rate was different, but still. So origin traceability. Okay, so the GIA grading of yellow diamonds, we'll just go through it very briefly. So yellow diamonds can have undertones. Undertones is a touch of another color. Either with yellow, it'll be greenish, or it'll be orangey, or it could be brown. When it goes brown, it goes much cheaper, maybe 20%, 25% of the value. The greenish is okay as long as they're not too green. The orangey is the most desired color. A touch of orange gives a stone impact. It's warm. It's in the face-up color. The orangey really, if you see the middle picture here, I don't know if you see my cursor. So there's an orangey. It'll still get a straight yellow on the certificate, but it has a touch of orange. So they're warmer looking, which in the trade is more desirable. And then in the bottom center, you can see the GIA grading, D to Z. So then after D to Z, as you get more yellow in the diamond, you go into fancy light, then into fancy yellow, then into fancy intense, then into the top of the yellows of the fancy vivids. Then you get the deeper colors, which are on the bottom right. You can see on the bottom right and the bottom left, those have brown in them and they become less valuable. They're still very interesting, very nice looking stones, but the cleaner, brighter colors are the most desirable colors on the market and attract the highest prices. Yeah. Okay. So then you have different shapes. Most of the South African material, the beautiful rounded octahedrals cut into cushions, give the largest sizes. And they are probably the lower cost, because if you cut in a 20-carat rough diamond, yellow, you'll get a 10-carat plus cushion as your main stone. And if you cut a radiant, you'll probably, I'm just giving an example, you'll get a 9. Pear is very desirable, but you need a long, beautiful rough. Maybe 1 out of 10 yellows is a longer stone for a pear and oval. And then then you get the step cuts, the Asher cut on the right, or on the right is the emerald cut, and just left of that is the Asher cut. So you need very saturated rough to make emerald cuts and Asher cuts, because you don't have the flexibility with those cuts to increase the light flow through the diamond like you do with the cushions. The cushions probably the easiest stone to how should I say, to increase your face-up color, to concentrate the color in the face, because the concentration, how it works, it's light flow through the diamond. The longer the path of light through the diamond, if you see in this diagram on the bottom left, colored diamonds, light path. On the left, you have a white diamond. That's typically how a white diamond will look from the side. A brilliant cut, white diamond, you'll cut like that. You don't want color. You want to get the light in and out of the diamond as fast as possible to show sparkle, brightness, and whiteness. With the yellow, you want to increase that. So we change the angles on the bottom of the stone. We call these angles these half moons, so that when the light comes in, it bounces around, and the top of the diamond, the facets are steeper, so the light bounces around in the diamond. And how I can explain it always is, if you take a sheet of glass, a window pane that you're looking at, and if you look through the window pane, look outside, you don't see anything, you see it as it is. But if you take that window pane and you look through the length of it, it's blue or grayish blue. And that is your path of light. The longer your path of light flowing through any transparent material, the more color you will see in that material. And it's the same with diamonds. So yeah, that's the basics of cutting yellow or fancy colored diamonds. And then you have other factors. You need to get the distribution evenly through the diamond, or you might want to concentrate the color under the table, because that's where GIA graders look. They look for the high impact areas. You want to get concentration of color in the high impact areas. When you pick the stone up, immediately the color hits you, kind of hits you in the eye. So yeah. So there are a lot of factors to take into consideration, and it's extremely tricky. We sometimes we don't come right on the first occasion. We play, we tweak, we put the stone away for sometimes a week. We don't touch it. We look again. We take it in. We try something else. Because as you're cutting away, we take little bits and you're cutting money away in these expensive stones. So yeah, it's all about experience and experimenting. Okay, so there's the stone, 141 carat, vivid yellow from Saxon Drift, Middle Orange River, famous region for very large whites and large yellows. I'm not sure that stone could have come out of Kimberley or could have come out of Lesotho, out of the Kimberlites in Kimberley or Lesotho. Probably Kimberley. Difficult to say. So it was a very beautiful rough stone. We bought the stone on a tender, got the stone, and then you get the stone in. You got to pay before, and send the stone up with the brinks, with the couriers, security, and then we got to decide what to do with the stone. Do we make a cushion? And we aided with technology today, planning technology. 20 years ago, we had people called markers. They'd study and they'd mark by hand. Today, we can map the exterior. We send it out to a scanning company, specialized scanning, and they scan the interior and map the exterior, put it together. And bottom left, you see that is the diamond that's been mapped and scanned. The green parts are just external skin. The diamond is clean, so there's nothing in the center, but you've got to take into consideration the skin is about 200 micron maybe. In some areas more. You'll see over here where the braided area is in the red box. That's in the alluvial environment that happens over, I don't know, millions and millions of years. Sometimes you get the whole diamond like that. But in this case, you can see it's worn away. That on the right, you see that piece has been worn away. Yeah, so you have to consider underneath that rough skin, sometimes you get little feathers, because as it probably gets hit inside that environment, you can get fractures going into the stone. If it hits the stone on the cleavage plane, the diamonds have a grain like wood. So if you hit it on the right plane, it split in half sometimes. Not always, but sometimes it could. So this diamond, we planned it, and they decided, the partners, we have foreign partners, and they decided we had options. I'll show you. These were the options, our main options. This was for the main stone. There were 2 satellite stones. So the main stone, we had an option, 75 carat Asher cut, right? Probably going to be intense color. You can't manipulate the color. The one on the right was a cushion. We had an 85 carat cushion. The stone was going to be vivid. But they decided they wanted something unique. They wanted to polish around brilliant, which is very, very unusual in this kind of diamond, because you can't really enhance the color. Slightly, but they wanted to take the risk and try get the vivid in the round. So we planned for the round. It took about, I don't know, the decision took about 2-3 months. I think it was 2 months, the planning, the scanning, what to do. And, they decided, let's go for the round. Good or bad, we're going for it. So we went for the round. So on your left, you'll see this, that's under cross polarization. You'll see a little bit of you'll see a little bit of rainbow colors in there. That eventually turned out to a tiny white VVS inclusion. You often pick it up with the polarization. You pick up different things. So we insure the diamonds for manufacturing, just in case anything happens on the wheel. Stones very occasionally can shatter on the wheel, break, and the losses can be big. So center, you'll see that was in the factory. We coat this diamond with a white, it's actually Tipex, watered down, so you can map the surface. The laser maps the surface for us, and on the right, that is the diamond on the skife, on the polishing wheel. We open windows just to check inside the stone. Although we have the scan, sometimes we check by eye as well. Not really very necessary anymore, but just to be cautious, we start like that. So where was I? Here. Okay, so once we've decided what we're going to do, we're going to make a 67, 60 round there, round. You'll see on the left, we mark a line with a laser around the stone to take off a piece. And in the center, you'll see that's the water jet laser. It's a Swiss machine, which is the most sophisticated laser at the moment, low damage. The highest risk with diamond manufacturing is with the laser. And the weight loss with these Swiss lasers, it's under 1%. So you lose 1% with lasering. You see on the right, that was the first satellite stone we took off. So you'll notice the difference in the color between the small stone and the big stone. It might be a bit amplified in this picture, but as the stone gets smaller, they lighten. So you take off a top, the main stone will be an intense yellow, the satellite stone will be a light yellow. So after the laser on the left, that's the main stone after laser sawing. So the cutter here is setting it up in cement to secure the diamond. So the laser leaves a residue on it. The machine surface has a residue. So we like to take it off so we can see the color. We have to take it off to see the color and open the stone up. So that normally would be your first process on the wheel after you've lasered the stone. You can see on the right, the surface is being cleaned up. So we can see the color inside the stone. Okay. So there we start blocking it out. So when I say blocking, the blocking is the first stage of putting facets on the stone. It creates the foundation of the stone. We put on top corners, we call them, on the left. So you have 8 top corners. So we lay it out roughly, and then we do on the bottom as well. On the right is just a picture of the 2 stones. There were actually 3 stones came out of this one. I'll show you after this exactly what it was. So that was the round brilliant at advanced stage of blocking. So you'll see on the right, it weighed 80.61 carats at that point. I can't remember what the weight after sawing was, but probably over 100 carats, at least. So you'll see the stone start to get more color at that point. So on the left is a modern girdling or bruting machine, also with water. It's a grinding wheel with diamond powder inside, and we shape the diamond into round on that wheel. And in fact, we can shape it any shape with this machine, pears, ovals, any shape we want. Pretty safe part of the process. And then after you shape it will be much later, the shaping leaves a frosted surface on the diamond. So it's still got to be put on the wheel to fasten that girdle, put on maybe 100, 200 facets on the girdle around the stone, the girdle being the circumference of the diamond. So that on the left is the brilliant deering. So after the stone's been blocked, it's been girdled, it's put into a pot. You see it's in a pot there, and we put it on the sparkle onto the stone there. How many is it? It's 16 bottom facets, and there's 16 on the top. That gives the stone the final life and sparkle. And those little, you'll see on the right, the little claws on top, we cover them with copper, because copper is a good, what do you call it? Not transmitter of heat. It absorbs the heat and doesn't scratch the table. So it's a very careful process. Cutters are extremely nervous when polishing large stones. Yellows, in fact, are the reportedly the most dangerous. We haven't had too many issues. You occasionally once a year get something happens, but hopefully it's on a small stone. So that was the finished stone. It in fact did turn out vivid, and they got a monogram from the GIA to say it's the largest vivid yellow to date still. And yeah, so everyone was happy. It was a good result, and they still have the diamond in stock, and it's been set, and these things take time. You know, when you buy cash on the table, and when it takes time, sometimes things sell in 2 months. Sometimes they can, stones they have that we cut here, they still have a lot of them in stock. But obviously when they do sell, they hopefully gain. Okay, so that's an exceptional yellow. There's a couple more pictures of the stone. Those were the 2 satellite stones, a 10-carat pair on the right, and another one turned out a 7-carat pair. So yeah, it was a good result. That's the pictures of the 2 satellite stones again, the 10 and the 7. WX color. So you'll see the main stone turned out vivid, and the others turned out what we call cape stones, like dark cape stone, just yellow, not fancy, just straight yellow. Very, very pleasant. And that we use the same model. We video, and we take videos and photographs of the rough. And if it's something exceptional, we'll get a model in, and we'll take on the left of the rough, and then with the polished. And we produce a story around the diamond. Eventually, we produce 2-minute videos of the whole cutting, from the rough, during cutting, and then even they'll produce over there going into jewelry, and it creates a fantastic story around the stone. Yeah, so that was the first stone we've done. Okay, so yeah, so that was, sorry, so this was actually another stone I cut a few years ago. It was also, we cut it into a round. It was 110 carat from I think it was from the Vaal River at that time. And they said it was also vivid. We got a bigger one this time. It's still set, and they still have that in stock. We cut the round, we cut the 2 in the earrings. That one, the one on the left, the oval, the ring came from, I think it was Finch mine. And the one on the bottom, they purchased on the market. That was before my time with them. So that was called the Dragon Suite. We made a video on this suite. All vivid yellows. Something special. We're waiting for maybe a royalty to look into to buy that. Okay. The 95 carat, we named it Mawad, Pride of the Vaal. Mawad are the partners in the business, the main partners in the business. We bought that on an auction in Johannesburg. They were auctioning the diamonds here. I think in terms of type 2A white diamonds, in my experience, not many come out of the Vaal River. In this size especially, it must be one of the largest ones to come out of the Vaal. Because normally these type 2A whites come out the Orange River, probably the origin being the Letseng, Matau, the Kimberlites in Lesotho. So we purchased this diamond, got another model from Natal. She modeled that one. Okay, so these type 2A white diamonds are a unique family of diamonds. Whether you see them in Botswana from the Karowe mine, or from Jwaneng, or from Cullinan, is a little different to the look, but generally they have the same features. They have minimal amounts of nitrogen in them. There are issues with graining being the plastic deformation when the stone comes under pressure and heat, and the crystal, the structure, you have slippage, sometimes causing the stones to go pink. So they call them clipper diamonds. Cullinan-like inclusion, pure. I forgot the last two. There it is. Pure, irregular, and resolved. So they're normally irregular stones. You don't get, very rarely you'll see a type 2A diamond that's a octahedral, the typical diamond shape. These stones, they really are unique wherever you see them. And they're known to have come from, I don't know, 500-600 kilometers in the sublithosphere. Whereas regular diamonds, or can I say regular type 1 diamonds, will have been formed at maybe 200 kilometers below the surface. These stones can be from 350 to 750 and maybe 2 to 3 billion years old. John would be able to confirm that better than I can. So, yeah. Okay, there's another picture, some photos of the stone. Was a stunning color, just like water. They used to be called in the thousands of years ago. They used to call them first water. These are very transparent diamonds. They have a limpidity to them. They're pure. They're really special stones. So there's just that's where the Rooipoort mine is, outside Berkeley West, a little bit outside. It's got a nature reserve on it. I haven't been there actually, and they issued an origin report to say that it was found on that particular mine. I think it's the most expensive stone to have come out of Rooipoort. Not sure if they've had a pink that superseded this, but I don't think so. Okay, this stone took longer to plan. This stone took us 3 months and months, because it was complicated. You can see black PK, sulfides, I think it is, in the stone. We had to open it up. We scanned it with three different scanners. It's critical. With yellow diamonds, if it's internally flawless or VVS1, the price is very similar. On these diamonds, if you have flawless to VV1, is a 30% price drop. And not only that, it becomes almost difficult. It becomes very difficult to sell, because the person who's buying a stone for a few $1,000,000, he wants the best of the best. So really, it's not much difference. But the person who buys it, he says, well, I want the best. I'm paying this kind of money. I want the best of the best. So I want the flawless. So it's critical you try and get the cleanest possible, well, the flawless diamond out of it. So this one we planned. I'm getting a bit diverted. This one we planned. We had options for the main stone. There were 11 stones come out of here. First option, 31 karat Asher cut. So that's a step cut style square stone. We had a 30 karat emerald cut in the center, or we had a matching pair of 19 karat 50s. We couldn't get to 20. Otherwise, if we had 20 carats, I think they might have gone with that option. So this was 3 months later. We decided, or the partners decided, we'll go for the 30 karat emerald cut, and those were the satellite stones. In fact, it turned out there were more. So let's say it's a satellite. These were the two main stones: 30 karat, 10 karat, 50. And then we had actually finished 3 karat and down. We finished 11 stones. So 9 below 3 karat, and then a 10 karat and a 30 karat. this was the planning, the scanning of the interior. The stone was tricky because it had quite a few black PKs. So this is how we divided it. We scanned it, we mapped it several times, and this was the final plan. You can see the emerald cut in red over here, and the 10 carat, I'm just trying to find it. I think that was the 10 carat in blue, the pear shape. No, sorry. The 10 carat was the green one there. So that was the final plan. 3 months to finalize the planning. Took some time and energy. Okay, we had to divide it several times on a laser. So you'll see on the right, that was the first division. We divided it. That was the main stone on the left, if I recall. And then we started taking off pieces. 3 carat, 2 carat, 1 carat. This was the bruting, shaping the emerald cut and shaping the pear shape. That was after we faceted it a bit, we shaped it. This was near the end, the 2 main stones, the emerald cut, the 30 carat on the left, and the pear shape on, we would polish in the bottom on the right. You have to be super careful with these stones. Weight is money, as they say. So that was the final result on the main stone, a 30 carat. Can't remember the exact weight. I think it was 30. It was actually turned out 30. Can't remember if it was 31 or 30. I can't recall. Anyway, the color, amazing color, white, like ice. And we finished flawless, which you have internally flawless, where you can have a tiny scratch on the surface, or just not even a scratch, just like roughness. And we actually, initially it got internally flawless, and we had a cutter in New York because it's complicated to bring it back to South Africa with the VAT coming in. We had a cutter in New York just to re-polish one little facet to make it flawless. So yeah, so it took us 11 months to cut that stone. That was the second main stone. That was the 10 carat pear shape. That turned flawless as well, full flawless. Also had to be touched in New York. Pear drop date back to 1458. Ludwig van Berchem, he developed the pear shape. Okay, so those were there were 9 satellite stones ranging from 3 carat down to, I think the smallest one was 70 points. But we decided to make them all pear shapes. It was a nice thing to do. Okay, and there's the same model, the model with the rough stone on the left, and 12 months later with the two main stones, the emerald and the pear shape. So the caption that Mawad uses is crafting the extraordinary. Mined, cut and polished in South Africa. Proudly South African, as they say. Okay, so here's an interesting tiny diamond, a miracle that it came out of the ocean. Divers go down or off the boats. They take suctions, pipes, and suck up the diamondiferous gravels off the ocean floor at about, I don't know if it's 5-10 meters deep, and it's a miracle. The stone was only carat 45 in the rough. There it is. You know what? I'll play you a small video on the stone. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? Any?
Yeah, we can see it. Just let it run, Greg.
Okay, I'm just trying to enlarge it. No, oh, sorry. So blue diamonds are colored by trace elements of boron that get into the crystal lattice of the stones. And I don't think this stone would have originated from Cullinan, because it was a most clear sky blue color. It turned out vivid blue, internally flawless. And whereas the Cullinan have a different look to them, they're more on the grayish side. This was very light and bright. So who knows where it came from? I've seen Jagersfontein have blues, couple of blues. Not sure where else, but yeah, beautiful blue color. So yeah, most of the blues have a touch of gray, and that reduces the price dramatically. They're still all expensive. Even gray blues can be beautiful, but that does reduce the price. So with blue, so you have three main factors when you look at color. You have hue, which is what do you see as you look at something. You see blue, you see red, you see someone with a red shirt, you see red. That's the hue. Then you have tone, that's the lightness or darkness, the black or white of the. So you can get, on the left here, these stones on the left bottom, the dark blackish stones, don't have a high saturation. You could confuse them with the stone with the high saturation, but they're not. They have a darker tone to them. So these on the right, the vivid blues, have a medium saturation and lighter tone.
What do you mean by saturation?
Saturation is the amount of color in the stone. So on the top left there, these are very lightly saturated blues. So they faint blue, faint and very light. So left to right is saturation. So over these are low. If you look on the bottom right corner, you have low saturation, high saturation, right? Then you
or intensity, Greg.
Yeah, it's strength of color. It's intensity or strength of color, I would say. So hue, tone, and saturation, those are the three factors. And it can be confused. It can be confusing. You can look at, you could think this black stone on the bottom left is highly saturated, but it's not. It's just a dark tone. They look almost black, the blue stones, when they're that dark. And not too attractive, actually. But yeah, they still, if it mentions blue in it, it's worth money. It's valuable. So you often get color zoning in blue diamonds. It's different to pink. Pink have color grain in slippage. This is zoning. I'm not sure why or how, but it can be tricky. Some of them, you see them, they have zoning in them. So let's go on to the next. So this particular stone was really amazing color. There it is there again from the beach. I think it was from the beach, this one. Afterwards, they told me it was from the oceans, from the sea. So I'm not quite sure, but never really found out exactly. but we bought it from direct. Well, we didn't buy it. Our client bought it on an auction from Alex Cole. That was a nice result. There the stone is during manufacture. When we were making it on the left, you can see it has a table facet and a few other facets on it. So a stone like that is $400,000-$500,000 a carat for a 82 point wholesale price, $400,000 to $500,000 a carat for that stone, which is phenomenal, because a white or yellow stone of similar size and purity is $4,000-$5,000 a carat. But these are rare. These are miracles of nature. These are so rare. They just impossible to find. People fight to buy them, the blues and the pinks, especially blues. There's nothing. Only Cullinan producing 98% of the world's blues, and that's a couple of stones. Well, maybe 25 stones per year, but they're all below 1 carat, and then the occasional, 5, maybe 10, between 2 to 5 carats, and then the occasional exceptional 10 carat plus vivid blue. Those where they find them once every 2-3 years, one piece. You do get blues colored by radiation. They're normally greenish blues. They come from alluvial environments. They're different. Okay, just to show you, that's an interesting as John was talking about earlier, surface features in the alluvial environment. So that large crescent-shaped percussion mark, that would be caused by impact in the alluvial environment. So these can cause issues. These are typical, we call them Namakwa kletzes from the mines, probably the Orange River mines. You get them in the Kimberley mines, in the alluvial from the Vaal, the Orange. Get them in the ocean. They're quite beautiful if you blow them up like that. That on the right are trigons. That's where we got the name of our company, Trigon Adamus. It's surface feature on diamond as a result of I don't think it's resorption. I can't recall now what it actually is. Dissolution, I think it is. Okay, that was Joe and Gert, our 2 cutters. They'd finished all our big stones. Gert's been working with me 20 years. He's been cutting for, I don't know, 35 years. Joe's been cutting for about 25 years. They're now experienced with large stones. In the middle is Jennifer, our gemologist. And on the right is Saja, our planner. He comes from Surat, brilliant planner and factory manager. That's a very proud Joel on the left. Jennifer, Saju, after we finished the 12 months to plan the 11, plan and complete the white stone. And we have Owetu on the right and Mataba, on the left, and Mataba on the right. These were 2 graduates from the State Diamond Traders. They run a program, I can't recall the program they run, and they approached us and said, could we train them? And we sent them to our partner's factory in Bangkok for 6 months. We sent 5 people, and we employed 2 of them permanently. They're still with us, and the other 3 got jobs in the industry. So yeah, they're doing well. Where to make a 10 carat D flawless for us today. DIF she made a couple of those kind of stones. Yeah, this was the program, this corporate social responsibility program we did in partnership with the State Diamond Trader. We're sending the cutters. We chose from 25 people, 25 young people, young South Africans. Yeah, it was a great program. That's the manager in Bangkok, where that's our manager, or the company manager in Bangkok. he looked after them and did a great job of that, looking after them, training them, and yeah, today they're doing well. And okay, so we can have a question and answer. Thank you, John. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Well, thanks to you, Greg. That was fantastic, and nothing like seeing people, good South Africans, doing what what you do with this team. And before we get into general questions, I mean, my general comment, Greg, we hear so many bad things about government. We criticize the state diamond trader, et cetera, et cetera. And when you see this side of the game and this side of the South Africa, it's fantastic. So well done to you. But let's have some questions. And on this talk has been Andy Moore. He's bound to get hold of you after this, and he's our sort of geological expert, along with Steve, on these amazing Type 2 diamonds. So I'm sure offline they're also going to badger you about stones and inclusions for research. And I think probably Farnes Viljoen, who was also on the talk, who's been at UJ and a very good diamond expert as well.
Yeah, I've heard all the names. Yeah.
Okay. Right, questions, guys. Any of you got any from the audience? You running the show there.
We've got a question from Gillian in the UK. How did diamonds figure in prehistory?
In terms of?
It's probably how it was it the value, or did people wear?
I'm just thinking that were they valued by people prior to the incursion of Europeans? I mean, did people collect them? Did people have, were they?
Hey, Gillian, where have you been? I mean, diamonds go back 2,000 years to the Silk Road. There's a fascinating history. I mean, we in South Africa come quite late to the picture, but there's wonderful history.
I was meaning in South Africa, John.
Okay, beg your pardon. Sorry.
South Africa, 1870s, diamonds were discovered in Hope Town along the Orange River. So historically, there's probably the greatest diamond dealer of all time, Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, on the right. He bought the Hope, apparently. He purchased, amongst other important diamonds, in India, where the first diamonds were discovered in India. I'm not sure the year. It was thousands of years ago. And those deposits are mined out today. And then the Brazilian mines came on field in I think it was 1750s, 18th century. And then in 1870s, the South African diamond mines were discovered. Yeah, I think it was Jagersfontein was the first kimberlite, and then the Kimberley mines.
Yeah,
so this is history.
Yeah, I think Gillian's point. Yeah, I mean, good point, Gillian. You'll probably know, and we'll see it at Palabora when you're here in August. Mining and metals and the use of them by our older African tribes and so on has been very prevalent in the past. And I think if you look at diamonds, the Griqua people, and maybe you can help me, Greg. I mean, the Griquas, I think, came across them, but they didn't feature as much as the metals. But it's a good point you raise, and I shall do some homework on it for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that. I'd never heard of. I heard from 1870 forward.
Yeah.
Pre that, I'm not sure. They probably were around for sure, but.
No, very, very good question, Gillian. We'll certainly go and do some homework.
Interesting. That's an interesting question.
Greg, can you see the chat section? There's some questions there, or do you want me to read them for you?
That section, I see. I don't see it. Yeah, Henny, if you can, I'm struggling to see anything that. Yeah.
Liz from UWC asked about the color saturation on the blue diamond. How strong was it, Greg?
Vivid. So the GI grading goes like, I'll show you where's that blue stone. Where's the blue? Okay, we had the blues here. So yeah, so it turned out vivid. You see on the right there, those three are vivid. The pear, the radiant, and the marquee. So it turned out there, those are your highest value blues. The vivid blues, clean colors, no gray. Blues generally they either straight blue or gray blue. I don't think they have any, there's no, with pink, you can have orangey pink, you can have brownish pink, you can have purplish pink, you get lots of, you get a lot of modifying colors. With blue, it's gray.
Yeah, it's blue or gray.
Blue or gray or grayish blue, it's like that. Or, one of the
Somebody wants to know what scanner you use.
For planning this, for scanning the rough diamonds.
Correct.
Okay, so for scanning the rough diamonds, the last 10, 15 years, scanners were developed. We don't do it ourselves. There's a company here. It's a sophisticated scanning machine. It's like, it came from the medical industry, actually. Like, you go for an X-ray. The Israelis developed it first, and then it's called a galaxy scanning machine. So it's an expensive machine. We pay per carat to have stones scanned by them. Some very big, small manufacturers, but big manufacturers might buy it themselves, but they still pay per stone to the Israeli company, monitors each stone that goes through. So it's sophisticated scanning. The diamond goes into a liquid that has the same refractive index as diamond. So you don't see it, they'll see the inclusions in the diamond inside. Even if the stone is heavily coated, they can see right through the stone. Sometimes they might ask you to put a facet on if they're having difficulty. Then they'll map the surface, combine the two, and the plan goes to India. They have the main they do a QC in India, and then we get the file back, and then you have it. You have the external surface of the diamond, the internal. Whereas before it was just people looking and, okay, we'll do that. Let's mark it like that.
And just to add to that, Greg, and to answer Lilani, it's like a CAT scan of the body.
Yeah.
It's really image analysis where you see everything in the middle of that stone in 3D. And if you want to go and look at Serene, I think the company is called Serene, and they have a wonderful website with some videos, and you can also find stuff on YouTube to see, how the scanning and mapping of diamonds and all the little inclusions in those diamonds is done. And Greg, you might just want to comment. I mean, in your lifetime, you would have seen amazing technology changes in this industry, or advances, just like every other sphere of geology, medical research, you name it.
Absolutely, it exploded. Every factory 25 years ago had a planner. So the machine replaced the planner.
And you made fancy models. You made erudite models, and you cut them up.
The planner was critical. He would look at it and say, listen, we think we can do this. Today we can virtually, within 1%, we can predict within what we're going to get. If we say we're going to get a 10 carat 10, 10 carat 10, generally will be within a couple of percent. We'll get a 1001 or a 1020. So it's changed the game, and the miners have benefited a lot from it, and everyone's benefited, and it's really amazing. I mean, they're developing now machines to polish the stones. I don't think with these kind of diamonds with fancy colors, because this is like put on a facet, see how it looks. Try this, see how it looks. We know the basic, but each color is a little different, and the material is a little different. So I don't think it'll ever be fully automated for the moment. But we're using the assistance of technology to increase the value and yield of the stones, and everyone benefiting from that.
Okay, you've got Tabedi with a question. Tabedi?
Leslie
Hi,
has a
John.
question for you here.
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
You're on
Ready?
mute.
Oh, sorry.
Mute.
Thank you, Greg, for a very informative presentation. I've got two issues which I want you to comment on. Does it mean each diamond has got a certificate? And how does that link, if you used this certification, does it link to the Kimberley process certification? And then secondly, I want your comment on these synthetic diamonds. Do they have an impact in your business or a threat or something like that? Thank you.
Good
Okay,
questions, Tabedi. Over to you, Greg.
Okay, let's answer the synthetic
Easy
diamond.
one.
The lab diamonds, firstly, did impact the market, not in the type of diamonds I'm showing you in this presentation, but it impacted in bridal in America. The American market, 50% of by volume of stones sold today are lab-grown diamonds. It had a huge impact on the diamond market, but I think it's slowly coming to a kind of end because the prices are dropping faster than they can make them. They started off at, let's say, $3,000 a carat. They're now $150 a carat. So if there is a place for them, but in costume jewelry, in fun jewelry, in design, and that's how they'll make money out of them, because people have lost a lot of money on them. So eventually they're going to say they're not going to buy them anymore. So yeah, but it did have a huge impact on the market. I think it hit the lowest segment of the diamond market very badly. And then your first question was, yeah, so I mean, no, the Kimberley process, I don't think links to the origin. Well, it does link to the origin, the country of origin, but today we have people want traceability, they want transparency, they want to know where the stones come from. So what we do is after we buy the stone, if it's from a miner that we know, Alex Corp, Petra, or one of the major miners, or we will take that diamond sealed from the miner, we'll submit it to GIA, they'll do an internal scan of the stone.
And when it comes from, sorry, Greg, when it comes from those miners, it's already, in a sense, Kimberley process certified.
Yeah, I mean, Kimberley process
Go ahead.
Yeah, Kimberley process, I mean, identifies the country of origin.
Yeah.
I'm not that involved because we don't export rough. So we manufacturing. So I haven't seen this Kimberley process certificate for years, but you obviously have to do that.
Yeah, I think it's for rough. You're correct. Yeah.
Definitely for rough. I'm not sure, you can have a parcel of 10,000 carats of rough diamonds and the whole parcel will have a certificate with it.
Yeah.
So it won't identify individual diamonds, and unless you ship in one diamond and it has. So each country will require the Kimberley process certificate upon entry or exit of the country. You can't exit or enter a country, exit or entry, without that Kimberley process. Certain countries are banned, Central African Republic, I think the East is banned, the West is open. So, I think it's reduced a lot. You had issues in Sierra Leone before, in Angola. It's reduced a lot, this blood diamond, so-called.
And Greg, you might want to comment. I mean, on these alluvial diamonds, as you said, they're very, they're very rare. You don't get one of these, every day, obviously. And part of the value is being able to say this time, you want to go back on the ground on Rooipoort or Alex Core on the West Coast and almost be able to say the diamond came from this spot.
Exactly. I mean, it's
Part
a
of the
huge,
value, the
I think
transparency.
it's a huge selling point when you come to say we know where this stone came from. We can give you history of this diamond. You buy in a history. We give a video with a diamond. We give a report with a stone. It makes the diamond special. It's a story. The story around the diamond, especially with these kind of expensive stones and important diamonds.
Yeah, but it's a good question, Tabedi, and
just thank you. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you have. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add there, Tabedi, what we need to be concerned about is hello?
Leslie wants to have.
Okay.
Thank you. Greg, I'm curious about the history of the cutting. I'm reading a book on Kimberley and the early diamond rush and so on, and they just talk about digging and buying and selling, but nobody talks about doing what you're doing. So when did the cutting start? What is the history of the cutting?
Well, in South Africa, are you talking, or generally?
South Africa. She's reading a book on the Kimberley activities. So he wants to know, when did cutting actually start here?
I think in the 1920s, maybe around there, you had Belgium and Hollanders coming out to South Africa to set up diamond factories. 1920s, 30s. I'm not sure if John knows more on that, but around that area. And then in the 40s and 50s, you got bigger factories in South Africa. I mean, we were quite an important manufacturing location in terms of volumes. There were, I don't know, at one point there might have been 5,000-6,000 cutters here. It's reduced tremendously because due to our cost base. Costs in Southern Africa are very high. And the skills also, a lot of the older diamond cutters have left the industry, and because it's such a cyclical business, their children never went into it. They avoided it. They went into other things. So yeah, I mean, we have maybe 200 cutters in South Africa now left. Maybe 300, I'm not sure. In India, they have 800,000. So, I mean, they have a pool of skilled workers to draw from, and our cost to manufacture today is $200 per carat. In India, it's probably $40 a carat. So the reason in Botswana today you have, I think, 5,000 cutters because of the beneficiation programs of the governments saying you must manufacture the goods here. And it's expensive to manufacture here, very expensive. So you have to concentrate on higher
Thank
value
you very much.
diamonds.
Thanks, Greg. Then Gillian wanted to know, is there software that could actually give you all the variations, all the different shapes that's available for, when you are evaluating?
Yeah, we're using software to plan the stones with all different shapes, and we have our custom shapes. We have I don't know, 100 shapes. So you might have a pear shape, a longer stone, a square, shorter stone. You can have we're making a heart shape now. I think I showed it to John earlier. I don't know if I can get the picture on here, but might be different.
She says maybe cut in South Africa could be used as a marketing slogan. What I wanted to know is, why did you have to take cut in South Africa should be used as a marketing slogan?
They do.
And then I wanted to know, why did you have to send that big diamond to New York eventually? What was it that you could not do in South Africa?
No, okay. So we finish the stone off here. Our gemologist will check it for any features, surface features. We'll do our best here to finish it off, but eventually the laboratory, the GIA laboratory, is in New York. So you need that certificate from them. So if they were close to us, we could put it into them, GIA, and they would say, oh, we found a tiny scratch on the diamond. It's very difficult to find these tiny little scratches or abrasions, and if they were here, we could put it in. They say, okay, it's there. We say, mark it. We fix it up. We put it back. Sometimes you can put it in 3-4 times until you get the full flawless. So the reason it has to go there is to get the certificate. Then we leave it there rather than bring it back. Otherwise, you have all the expenses, insurance, VAT coming in again. So we rather get a cutter there to just smooth out whatever the issue might be. It's just more practical from that point of view. You could do it here, but since the lab is not here, it's not feasible to do that here. I hope that answers your question.
It sounds like an American power grab to me.
Yeah, they've done good things. The GIA they have offices all over Hong Kong. They have a factory, they have an office here, they have a lab here, but these they only do up to 3-carat sizes because they don't have and they don't do fancy colors, because fancy colors, to confirm whether the origin of color is natural or treated, they don't have the technology here. It costs tens of millions of dollars to have the scientists and technology to check these kind of stones. Green is very difficult to tell whether it's been irradiated by man or in a lab or in the alluvial environment. So they can't do very expensive fancy colors. Or actually, they don't do fancy colors yet. They do that in New York and LA. They have labs in Israel, Hong Kong, Dubai, all over. Yeah, but they control the certificate market in the more expensive stones.
Yeah,
and they charge.
Yeah, Gillian, if I can come in, I mean, Gillian, you make a good point, but unfortunately, we've shot ourselves in the foot too, in the sense of not looking after our industry. It's for another discussion. But and credit to Greg and his team that they've persisted, kept the family business going, and those numbers that Greg mentioned, the sort of decline of our cutting and polishing industry is huge. But there've been various interventions made, mostly by the new government, which were very detrimental to this business and even the mining side of it. There's I don't see any of the miners on this talk, and Bill McKechnie might want to have a parting shot, but our alluvial diamond mining sector should be a growth sector. We have these exceptional diamonds, but if you can't get a permit, or it takes you 4 years to get a prospecting and mining permit, and it takes you 4+ years to get a water use license, as a small operator, it just kills you. So you pack up and go home.
Could I ask a question, John?
Yes.
Hi, Greg. This is Andy Moore. Thanks very much for some stunning photographs. That was really informative. There are a lot of us around who are interested in where these big diamonds come from, and that's probably part of the story. And I think the script at the moment is that they come from 500, 600 kilometers down, but some of us are dissidents and think that's not the case. And those tiny little inclusions that spoil your diamonds are potentially key to working out where these diamonds do come from. Is there any chance of, when you cutting off these offending pieces, that some of these would be available for for actually digging out the inclusions and analyzing them. And it might, I think it would change the story as it is at present, but that would be very much part of how you'd market these stones.
But Andy, that's the very reason that it is postulated that there's sublithospheric with these little cut-off pieces and the inclusions in them. So it's not speculative. It's based on laboratory, on facts, on the compositions of ferromagnesium inclusions and other exotic inclusions whose stability has to be that deep in order to form them. So that's where the notion comes from initially. So, yep.
Well, there are a few dissidents around, and I have the misfortune of, or otherwise, of being one of them. But the diamonds that they looked at, which they were type 2 diamonds, but not necessarily related to the large irregular diamond population. And that's one of the complications that is inherent in this whole question.
Yeah.
Look, I think Evan Smith at GIA did. I think they got offcuts from Letseng stones at one point.
Absolutely, that's correct.
Yeah.
Well, if I can just respond to that, they've analyzed the real irregular stones from Letseng, and they've got a very distinctive carbon isotopic signature. And the stones that Evan analyzed have a completely different signature. There are only 6 of them, so there's a statistical problem. But the available data don't support a link between his Letseng, so the stones he analyzed, and the Letseng large irregular type 2 stones. And if you speak to Ray Ferraris and Debbie Bone, they'll tell you that the absolute characteristic signature of these stones that you've been showing are these irregular shapes. And if you cut the stone, you actually lose that most diagnostic feature. So I don't think I personally don't believe the debate is cut and dry yet, but more inclusions from stones that have been identified as irregular, a cutoff from a stone where you've got a picture of the original is really what we need to advance the debate.
Yeah, just to come in, Andy, and Greg is aware, and I've had this discussion with Greg, and he's more than willing, to help with samples of those offcuts. And probably the best thing to do is at some stage, and if you're through Johannesburg, just go and see Greg. And Greg, I'm throwing it open, but
Pleasure. Yeah. Listen, the opportunity comes really because of the value of these diamonds, but sometimes you might have opportunities to say, okay, because when we laser them, you'll open an inclusion. So in both sides, I can show you photographs on another call. You'll have the sulfide inclusion on both sides after lasering. So sometimes we'd normally run that away on the wheel, but sometimes if an opportunity comes, I can do it, take another piece off and give you that tiny offcut. I don't know what size offcut you need. I'm not sure.
Or the smallest possible that has the inclusion in it, Greg.
Okay. Oh, well, we can try. Yeah. I mean, the opportunity might come once a year or twice. It might be, but we can do it.
Yeah. My good friend Stephen will probably draw your attention to the fact that I've spent quite a lot of time in the Kalahari sun and the possible negative effects of that. speaking for you, Steve.
I endorse that. Yeah, keep wearing your hat, Andy.
Anyway, it's good that we can talk and disagree to disagree, or agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, but
Can-
fantastic.
Also, that's a great talk, goodness me.
But-
Wonderful. Thank you
When-
very much.
When you see
Great.
these diamonds, whether it's from Karowe or from Letseng or they will have distinct black inclusions. They'll be in strings. They're almost kind of in a row. It's amazing. It's like when it lands on the desk next to you, you know it. Normally, as you open the parcel, you'll see, there's a type 2A. Yeah.
No, Greg, we're certainly coming to talk to you, and I'm sure anyone else on this presentation, including you, Tabedi, I'm not sure if you're still there. But Greg's awfully hospitable, and he's got a wonderful factory, and he loves to show people, particularly, geologists who are interested in what he's doing. So if you're happy, Greg, I'm happy to share your email and phone number. People can contact you.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. And thank you for all listening to me. And John, thank you for inviting me. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
And we'll get you back at another stage, Greg, to talk about some of the other points you and I have discussed, which are equally important. And the more we can help raise profile on this amazing work in our industry in general, the better. But thanks for your presentation, Greg. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
And we'll get it onto YouTube, and we'll make sure you've got a copy and you can distribute it as well. And thanks, Henny and the team.
Henny,
team.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you around next time.
We'll have a good day, good evening, and be in touch.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. You'll be getting some calls and knocks on your door.
Pleasure.